Welcome to the tutorial for setting up the lighting computer for Sunday worship. When you first turn the computer on, it should be open to this screen. You should see the bar open from Magic Cue, which will have Continue Last Show lit up, as well as the MIDI shortcut program and MIDI network setup. If those three programs are not already on, then you can find each of them at the very bottom in the bar for the computer. So if you go down to the very bottom, you'll see MIDI shortcut on the left, and Magic Cue is the big Q, and then Audio MIDI setup looks like a keyboard. You want to open up each one of those, and when Magic Cue opens, you want to have that one in focus, and you'll want to hit Continue Last Show. Next, you want to look in the bottom right. You'll see the layers 1, 2, and 3. You'll want to open up layer 2. This will open up a pre-made window for the Cue stack on the far left and the Cue stack storage on the right. So you see those two windows side by side. The Cue stack is what we use to run the whole service, and then the Cue stack storage is what stores the songs for songs 1, 2, and 3. Right now I have it set up for each date of the upcoming 2 weeks. So the far left fader is the 30th, as that is a full band with Ableton week, and the second from the left fader is for the 23rd. That's for an acoustic week. So you'll see on our Cue stacks here on the left, it'll be pre-service, countdown, house down, and then songs 1, 2, and 3. In order to get to pre-service, you bring up that far left fader, and then Ableton will handle the rest of it if it's an Ableton week. You'll have to look on the tech sheet to see if it says Ableton or manual. If it's an Ableton week, then Ableton will handle everything after pre-service through the songs, and if it's manual, then that means you need to press the play button, which is located above the fader of the Cue stack we're using for this week, in order to advance the Cue stack to the next thing. You'll see when we get to songs 1, 2, and 3 that it lights up the corresponding songs in the Cue stack storage on the right side of your screen. So song 1 will turn on Great Things, song 2 will start Enough for Me, and song 3 will start Oh Praise the Name. If those do not start or something's going wrong, then you can click on the song that did get turned on and then click on song 1 in order to just bring up a generic lighting background. If it is an Ableton week, then we want to make sure that time code is coming into the computer. In the bottom left of this main screen, above the fader row, you'll see it says nhlighting.lock, and then below that, it will have our timecode input. If timecode is correctly coming from the Ableton computer, then you will see the time coming in and counting forward as Ableton progresses through the session. If it is not there, then you need to go to the Ableton computer and make sure everything is connected correctly in the MIDI network setup. If everything on the Ableton computer looks like it's working correctly, but it is not actually sending timecode to this computer, there are a couple things you can do. The first one would be to kill the connection between the two computers by clicking on Ableton to Lighting and then clicking on the right section of the MIDI network setup and clicking Disconnect after you've clicked on the lighting computer, and then reconnecting it. Another thing you can do is to stop the TXL program on the Ableton computer and restart it at the bottom bar of that screen. When you start Ableton, you should see timecode turn green on the TXL program and start advancing through the session as Ableton moves through the session. And then it should also show up here in the bottom left of the lighting computer and would start moving the songs through their cues. All right, that should be everything you need for setting up the lighting program for Sunday worship.